Hi, Carrie Wilson here with the Brant Community Healthcare System Foundation, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director. And I'm here today with Reg Madison. Reg is going to tell us some stories about his experiences with being a patient of the Brant Community Healthcare System. Reg is certainly no stranger to our foundation. Reg, you've served on the board of both the BCHS and our foundation. You've been a true advocate, and so thank you so much for that. Both you and your wife, Loretta, have been so involved as volunteers with us. But it's really interesting because I know for a number of years you acted as an advocate on behalf of our fundraising efforts, and then all of a sudden, at one point in time, things changed for you. And you were on the other side of that advocacy in our healthcare system, and you had to experience the BCHS from the inside as a patient. So I'm hoping that maybe you can share with us a little bit of your story.
Sure. I guess I could start with part of what you said, Carrie, and that's the part about not really using the hospital other than for tests. And all my life I've been fortunate to not have to be confined to a hospital. I have over the years, because I have diabetes and a number of other issues, have had to go for tests. But, it was you're in and out, and you don't really truly experience what it's like to be, to me, a patient, which means you're there for a while. And then in 2016, actually it was the day before Good Friday, when all our family was coming for Easter, I had a CT scan that morning because I couldn't get in the day before. It was all the appointments were booked, and so the best we could do was 10:30 on Good Friday. So I was up early at 6 a.m. helping prepare dinner for that evening, and at 10:15 I drove to the hospital. At 10:30 I was in the machine and being analyzed, and walked back to my car. Drove home, and no sooner was I putting my keys on the kitchen counter than my cell phone rang, and it was my family doctor who said, pack a bag, you have fluid around your heart and in your lungs, you're going to go to the hospital, and don't drive. Make sure somebody drives you. They'll be expecting you. So off I went, and later that afternoon, one of the emergency room doctors, after a series of tests and x-rays, told me that I'd had a silent heart attack. Well, that was news to me. My father had 6 heart attacks before the last one got him, so I've sort of expected that one day I might have one. But in any event, the shock of it was, what's a silent heart attack? Well, he told me that you just don't have any symptoms, which I didn't. And the only indication I had, which is why I went to the family doctor, was some shortness of breath. But I had never experienced any pain and no discomfort whatsoever, just this shortness of breath when I tried to exert myself. So it was a long weekend, which is not the time you really want to go, because I had to be sent to Hamilton for my angiogram, and the results on the Tuesday said that I was critical but not urgent, and therefore I was being sent back by ambulance to the Brantford General. One of the neat things that happened while I was there, Carrie, was I got to experience what life was like as a patient. With the emergency and the shock of my silent heart attack, that weekend is sort of blurry to me. It was family coming to see me who were at our house for Easter, and it was getting over the shock. Well, I've had one. The good news is I'm still alive. I'm critical, during that whole week, but I never worried. I felt that if somebody could have a heart transplant in South Africa long ago, that by now they've perfected it. And I know that the surgeons who perform, the surgery on your heart are doing this all day long, every day. So it's not like, we need to replace a gasket in your engine. they're good at it. And so I had comfort during this time. I was also there at the time when we went to a new food service at the Brantford General, and I must say that I was very pleased. I was impressed with the fact that every meal that I ordered was done on not a laptop, a little handheld tablet, and the person holding it would tell me, no, you can't have that for your diet because I'm a heart patient. And I was impressed with the food because I had another week, the following week, following my surgery in Hamilton, to find out what food was like at another hospital. And if you really want to know, a heart patient shouldn't be eating hamburger 3 days in a row after their surgery. But that's what happened to me. But, I had lots of salmon and lots of good things. And it was truly a unique experience. And even a CT scan was an experience, because I'd never had one. What is this? I've often heard of it explained as a CAT scan. And I thought, well, I guess this is for animal hospitals. But that's not true. So in any event, I was very fortunate because I had 5 blockages, 1 at 50%, 3 at 70%, and 1 at 99%. And the 99% one, thanks to my ignorance, did not cause me any stress. Because there's 5 of them, and one of them's 50% operative, and the other 2 are 30% operative, and so this one's only 1%. After I was home recovering, a friend visited, and my wife showed him the angiogram picture, and he said to me, Reg, do you know what this artery is called? I said, heck no, I didn't even know it was an artery. There's veins and arteries, and they both have blood in them. And he said, it's called the Widowmaker. I said, thank goodness you didn't come and see me in the hospital before surgery, because I'd have probably stressed myself to death, knowing that I had 1% left in that artery and I could be a goner. So I think what's so important about this all is the diagnostics that are prevalent today that give us this chance to really find out what is wrong with us, what is not operating properly, and whether it be ultrasound, which I've had a number of ultrasounds during my life, a recent life, by the way. When I was young, I didn't have any of these issues. Never broke a bone, never was in the hospital, except for my tonsils. And then all of a sudden, once I'm a senior citizen, all hell breaks loose. And I think part of that is recognizing my father going in 5 times with successful recovery from heart attacks, my mother having issues. I've always felt strongly about the hospital because, to me, what's important is, yes, we have fire departments, but how often does the fire department save your home or save your life? They're important and we need them. And it's the same with our police. Police are important, and I'm not trying to lessen the importance of these 2 necessary organizations. But we all, sooner or later, will be using the hospital. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping with the hospital, because I think it's critical to a community to have good health care. And I'm so pleased to reside here in Brantford, because over the years, I've seen that continual improvement. I was there for the MRI coming through the window with a big crane and the street closed so we could have an MRI, and I don't know how many years that was at play. You were there, so you know that, but I've forgotten now just how many years it took us to finally get that MRI. And thanks to those who contributed the money that was necessary, because another thing community people don't recognize is the government does not pay for equipment. We have to raise the money locally. So while they pay for the operation of the hospital, and that creates a problem too, because They tell us how many knee surgeries we can perform, how many knees can be replaced, how many hips can be replaced, and how many hours the MRI can be operating, and on and on. But all of these other things that are so vital to healthcare are the community's responsibility. The community has to give. And we're so pleased to have some businesses and individuals who have contributed greatly over the years, and that's part of my passion, Carrie.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Reg. I think you hit the nail on the head talking about the community investment when you're talking about the MRI and the CT scanner. So the very CT scanner that you went through to find this critical issue, and I do remember, you calling me, and I had the opportunity to come and visit you while you were waiting for that transfer for your procedure, and I remember the stress for both of us. As a friend, I was very worried about you. I know how stressful that was for your family, but I also know and remember you sharing with me that you felt very confident about a strong healthcare system. And that's really because, again, of that investment of our donors in our community. So the CT scanner that you went through, that was fundraised through donor dollars. We purchased that CT scanner back in 2010. Patient equipment, as you know, has about a 7 to 10 year shelf life, and so we are way beyond the life of our current scanner. And so purchasing another one will give even stronger diagnostic tools to our community. And that's what's so critical, and that's the piece that I know you and I have chatted about, is that there's not really, sometimes there's not a connection of the dots in our community. We're also not unique in Brantford. This is an issue, and why hospital foundations exist, as you know, having sat on our board, that our role is to fundraise and to engage the community to help to purchase those critical pieces of patient equipment. And certainly tonight's event and having the opportunity to support another critical piece of patient equipment, such as the CT scanner, is incredibly important. But we're so grateful for community leaders like yourselves, your wife, yourself, and the advocacy that you have completed. I'm wondering if you can share with us just a little bit of the conversations that happen in home and with your network about giving to the hospital and choosing the BCHS Foundation as one of your charities of choice. You know, the average Canadian gives to between 5 to 7 charities. And what we're hoping is to be able to engage our community to choose us as one of their charities of choice. We're sort of preaching to the choir. We know the importance of healthcare. You mentioned that you didn't have experiences leading up to your more senior years. I'm the reverse. I had most of my experiences as a young person in our healthcare system. So I know the importance of what healthcare gives. I mean, healthcare gives us really time with our loved ones. Healthcare gave you a chance to not have an even more adverse event. So can you share with us sort of your, if you were to share something with your friends and neighbors, to ask them or to have them consider giving to our foundation, what would you express to them?
Well, I think the critical thing for me to express, Carrie, would be that, as I said earlier, this institution is critical for a community. And it becomes more critical when you experience a life-saving event and are given a second chance at life, given a chance to do things that you haven't done in your life yet, to spend more time with loved ones. And there's so many ways in which our community can pitch in and help. And you know, everything from a $10 or $15 a month contribution to the hospital, putting it on an automatic system, everything from supporting an event like this one and making a contribution, and all the other fundraising events that the hospital has. You know, businesses who put on special events with the proceeds going to the hospital. Some of our big donors in the community, like S.C. Johnson, who have risen to the occasion so many times and made significant contributions. Some of our wealthy individuals who have contributed $1 million at a time. And it's just, to me, important that we do that. And one of the things we should not lose sight of is that one day our lives will end. And with the end of our lives will come an estate. And whether it's significant or not is not the issue. The issue is maybe one of the things is through your will or through a life insurance policy, people can leave something to the hospital. Because chances are that last few days or hours will be spent at the Brantford General or the Willets. So I think one of the things I would say is, please help. We need the help to make this hospital better. It's good and has been better year after year after year, and we have some very, very talented individuals in our hospital. Some of the surgeons that are visited from around the world, they have world recognition, and they're here in Brantford. And, when you see somebody like Erica Polidori winning a bronze medal for Canada in softball, our soccer team winning, that's the type of analogy I would give to our hospital and its progress if it gets the proper support from the community. And I know there are a lot of people that do not understand that the government just doesn't pay for everything, and we need to get people knowing that we need their help. We need their help for equipment. We need their help for some renovations and maintenance of elevators and all those kind of simple things that you take for granted that, well, the money's there. And so my request to all those watching tonight is to say, please, dig deep. Don't hurt yourself, but help us.
That's wonderful, Reg. Thank you so much. You've said it so much better than I could even have said it, to be honest with you. And I just wish we weren't in a pandemic state, because I'd love to be able to give you a hug and say thank you so much for your continued advocacy and everything that you've done. And I'm just very grateful, thanks to our healthcare system, that you're here to share your story with us today.
Thank you.